How do you stop a global catastrophe? It is happening right beneath your feet, right now, and you have no idea. Look at our modern world. We see massive gleaming skyscrapers. We see towering concrete bridges. They look permanent. They look absolutely indestructible. But they are hiding a lethal secret. The world's infrastructure is rotting. It is a silent, brutal collapse. It is a nightmare made of stone. Think about the sheer scale. We built our entire civilization on concrete. Billions of tons cover the planet. But here is the major problem. The giant has a fatal weakness. The enemy isn't a massive earthquake. It isn't a violent hurricane. The real killer is invisible. It is microscopic. Our cities are on the front line. The concrete jungle is under siege. The enemy is already inside the walls, and the clock is ticking. It starts with one tiny crack, just a few millimeters wide. Then comes the water. Water is a patient, ruthless invader. It slips deep into the concrete. It hunts for the steel skeleton inside. Once water touches iron, it's over. The rust begins to grow. The internal pressure builds up. The concrete starts to scream and snap. This is a global nightmare. We spend hundreds of billions every year, yet the bridges are still failing. The dams are still leaking. The roads are still crumbling. It is a battle we are losing. By 2030, the cost will be trillions. It is the most expensive war in history. And currently, we have no defense. Traditional repairs are just useless band-aids. They cannot reach the internal rot. They cannot stop the deep decay. If we don't act, everything collapses. So how exactly do you fix it? How do you save a dying city? How do you heal a wound deep inside? How do you reach a crack buried in steel? The answer is simple but brutal. We need a new kind of soldier. The solution isn't a machine. It isn't an expensive chemical. The answer is a living weapon. So, how exactly does this silent collapse begin? It starts with a tactical infiltration. Think of concrete as a giant shield. It looks solid and impenetrable, but under a microscope, it is full of holes. These are called capillary pores. They are tiny, invisible tunnels. They reach deep into the heart of the structure. Now, imagine a summer storm. Rain hits the concrete surface. Most of it runs off, but some of it stays. Through capillary suction, the water is pulled inward. It is like a sponge soaking up poison. This water carries a deadly payload. It is filled with chlorides and oxygen. This is the ultimate saboteur. It travels through the tunnels. It bypasses the external defenses. Its target is the internal steel reinforcement. Once the water reaches the steel, the war begins. A chemical reaction triggers immediate corrosion. The steel starts to swell. It expands up to 6 times its size. This creates an intense internal pressure. It is a slow-motion explosion. The concrete simply cannot handle the force. It begins to crack and flake. This is called spalling. It exposes more of the skeleton. The cycle of destruction accelerates. But here is the major problem. We are blind to the damage. By the time we see a crack, the core is gone. So how do we stop this invisible killer? The answer is the billion-dollar repair industry. We use expensive epoxy injections. We apply thick layers of surface sealant. We use heavy-duty carbon fiber wraps. But these are just desperate band-aids. They are like putting a sticker on a sinking ship. They only hide the damage. They do not fix the root cause. They are static solutions for a dynamic threat. The moisture always finds a new way in. The rot continues to spread underneath the surface. Our current engineering is failing. We are losing the battle against time. We need a weapon that can survive the darkness. We need a force that lives where we cannot. How do we reach the internal rot? The answer is biotechnology. This brings us to the breakthrough. Meet the Bacillus bacteria. These are the microscopic special forces of the Earth. They are not your typical germs. These microbes are built for total war. Evolution has forged them in extreme environments. They thrive in the burning heat of volcanoes. They survive in the deepest salt lakes. This makes them the perfect candidates for concrete. Why? Because the inside of a wall is a death trap. Concrete has an incredibly high pH level. It is as caustic as industrial bleach. Most living things would dissolve instantly. But the bacillus is a master of survival. It utilizes a strategy called endospore formation. When life gets hard, the bacteria shuts down. It creates a shell of incredible strength. This shell protects the DNA from heat and chemicals. It is essentially a biological escape pod. These spores are practically immortal. They can sit in the dark for 200 years. They do not need food. They do not need air. They just wait. Scientists have learned to harness this power. They create bioconcrete. They pack millions of spores into tiny capsules. These capsules are made of biodegradable clay. Then they mix them into the concrete. They are distributed evenly throughout the entire structure. They are a dormant army of millions. They are the ultimate sleeper cells. They are invisible and silent. They do not change the concrete strength. They just sit and monitor the internal environment. They are like a silent guardian in the walls. They are patrolling the microscopic tunnels, They are ready to wake up at any moment. This is a revolution in material science. We are no longer using dead materials. We are building with a living defense system. It is a biological shield. It is self-healing technology at the highest level. This is the birth of the smart city. But nature is not easily defeated. It uses a brutal triad of tactics. This is the strategy of the natural world. Strategy number 1 is the freeze-thaw cycle. Imagine a tiny crack filled with water. When winter comes, that water turns to ice. Ice occupies 9% more volume than water. This expansion creates a massive hydraulic force. It acts like a wedge being driven into a wound. The crack is ripped open further. When the ice melts, more water flows in. The process repeats until the concrete shatters. Then comes strategy number 2. This is called carbonation. Carbon dioxide from the air penetrates the surface. It slowly changes the chemistry of the concrete. It lowers the alkaline protection around the steel. The shield is stripped away. The steel is left naked and vulnerable. Finally, we face strategy number 3. This is material fatigue. Infrastructure is always in motion. Every truck crossing a bridge creates stress. Every skyscraper sways in the wind. This creates billions of microscopic vibrations. Over decades, these vibrations create fatigue. The bonds between the molecules begin to snap. It is a death sentence written in physics. These 3 forces work in perfect harmony. Carbonation removes the armor. Freeze-thaw expands the wounds. Fatigue breaks the remaining spirit. This is why our cities look old so fast. It is a perfectly coordinated assault. Human engineering has always been a static game. We build a wall and pray. But nature is dynamic and relentless. It never stops pushing against our gates. A static bridge is a dying bridge. A static dam is a ticking bomb. This is the harsh reality of construction. We are fighting an uphill battle against entropy. Every pillar is a target. Every slab is a victim. The odds are always in favor of the rot, unless we change the rules of the game. But here's the thing. These attacks happen to everyday cities too. All it takes is one neglected joint, one unseen fracture in a massive support pillar. This structural data doesn't just result in closed roads. It can also affect global shipping and insurance rates. It ultimately leads to an economic loan denial. Just when a nation needs credit and growth most. Infrastructure is the physical database of our society. If we lose the integrity, we lose the function. This is why self-healing concrete is the ultimate security plan. It is a persistent shield against the rot of time, or it is the literal removal tool for structural decay. The process is strictly calculated. We must move from reactive to proactive defense. Traditional repair is like fixing a leak after the flood. Self-healing is stopping the drop before the crack. We are protecting the invisible data of our civilization. We are ensuring the safety of every bridge you cross. Go beyond the surface. Look deep into the material world. That is where the real protection starts. Take your personal safety back from the decay. Secure the future with a biological dashboard. It is a 60% discount on long-term maintenance costs. But how does this living armor actually work? What happens when the attack of nature begins? This brings us to phase 1. The awakening. Imagine a massive concrete bridge during a storm. A microscopic crack begins to split the surface. It is 0.8 millimeters wide. To the human eye, it is invisible. To the structure, it is a lethal wound. The water begins its tactical invasion. It floods the internal capillary tunnels. It reaches the hidden clay capsules. The answer is the biological trigger. The moisture dissolves the biodegradable protective shell. Suddenly, the dormant Bacillus spores are exposed. They feel the water. They sense the oxygen. After 200 years of silence, they wake up. This is step 1. The first machine off the production line is life. Here comes phase 2, the digestion. These bacteria are hungry for a mission. They find their internal fuel source. Inside the concrete is a supply of calcium lactate. This is the biological battery. The bacillus begins to feed immediately. The process is strictly calculated. Detect, localize, and consume. As they eat, a chemical miracle occurs. They begin to produce calcium carbonate. These are tiny crystals of solid limestone. They are the same material as the concrete itself. This is step 2. While the world sleeps, a billion masons are working. They are building a new floor. They are filling the void with pure stone. Now we reach phase 3, the healing. The crystals grow and lock together. They form a dense, impermeable barrier. The crack is being sealed from the inside out. The water is blocked. The oxygen is cut off. The internal rot is stopped in its tracks. The process is strictly calculated. The bacteria heal the wound completely. Then they run out of food. They sense the environment becoming dry again. What do? The answer is simple. They go back to sleep. They turn back into spores. They wait for the next attack. This cycle can repeat for centuries. Think about that massive longevity. A bridge that can fix itself for 200 years. This is where Hollywood imagination fails. A building's greatest threat is not always a storm. It is the cheap, patient, and lethal devices of decay. The Bacillus handles the nightmare scenario. It kills the rot before it surfaces. This is high-risk engineering at sea level. Imagine dropping a 5,000 elbow bomb on a target. It is designed to smash through 160 feet of earth. It destroys the underground bunker in seconds. Now, imagine that same power in reverse. This is the GBU-72 of modern construction. It is a precision-guided tool of creation. It smashes through the rot. It rebuilds the reinforced concrete from within. It is a massive explosion of life. It completely restores the underground structure. We are no longer just building dead walls. We are creating a silent biological army, an army that never tires, an army that never retires. It is a 360-degree defense for our world. The answer comes in Phase 4, the living city. While traditional engineering operates at a static level, bioconcrete works right in the threat envelope. It is low, fast, and ruthless against failure. Interestingly, the city wants originally designed to be alive, but the choice is clear. Maintenance is a losing, brutal war. Biology is the ultimate peace treaty. Imagine 24 skyscrapers in a hurricane. They carry the weight of millions of people. They are widely dispersed across the coast. Usually, monitoring every crack is a nightmare, but with the Bacillus, the city monitors itself. It is the A-10 thunderbolt of civil engineering, usually famous for killing heavy tanks. Here, life is devastating against structural failure. The pilots of this technology are the bacteria. They have excellent visibility in the microscopic world. They don't start with a gun. They start with a cure. The signature war against entropy is won. The psychological impact of a self-healing world is massive. It is a deterrent against the inevitable. These attacks of time happen every single day. But now, we have a counter. We can build an armada of living roads. Real-time protection in every slab of stone. We detect the rot rolling out of mountain bunkers, and we destroy it before it fires a shot. The ultimate countermeasure isn't maintenance. It is biology. Look at the towering bridges in our cities. Look at the massive dams holding back the floods. They seem like permanent monuments to human power. But we know the truth now. They are fragile giants under constant brutal assault. The rot of time never stops. Nature never stops its tactical infiltration. We have lived in a world of dead materials. We have spent trillions on useless temporary repairs. But the choice is finally ours. What kind of future will we build? Will we continue to fight a losing war against entropy? Or will we embrace a world that heals itself? The answer is simple but powerful. The future isn't made of static, dying stone. It is made of living, breathing protection. It is built by the invisible special forces of nature. These tiny microbes are the real architects of our survival. They are the silent guardians within our walls. They are the ultimate countermeasure against a crumbling world. If you found this glimpse into the future fascinating, share it. Let the world know about the living cities. Subscribe to join us on the front line of engineering, because sometimes the biggest changes are completely invisible.